Hello, folks. Brandon Chapman with today. It's Monday, May 11th. It's the TheoTrade video. Just want to quickly talk about a number of dynamics that are playing out right now. People talk about risk. People talk about lack of participation in the rally in the market. And it is a sign of concern. I mean, if you click on percentage changeover, you'll see that today, silver really led out up 6.83%. I mean, gold was up minimally, virtually equal performing with the S&P, but outperforming the S&P in the last week, as we're seeing precious metals really kind of blow out everything, especially silver, by far the best performer in the last week. And we're picking up in the last 6 weeks as the second best, just behind technology. And this really kind of dovetails with some information that's coming out this week. And that's namely with regards to CPI and PPI. We have inflation data. We have higher expectations for core CPI, for core PPI, both expected an inch higher. That's stripping out food and energy, but we're starting to see that that's trickling through the economy right now, right? We're seeing other areas starting to pick up. And you think about people that produce goods, higher input costs, potentially higher wages, all this stuff going into lowering earnings expectations. And when you look at companies like today, for example, Nike, well, again, they produce in foreign countries, have other people producing goods for them per se, but down 4% today. You look at General Mills, right? This is kind of a food or a cereal producer, for example. Well, guess what? I mean, Ford/CW, I mean, wheat's gone up in price pretty dramatically recently, right? So the idea that higher commodity prices, higher oil prices, higher wages, all this stuff is not going to hurt earnings at some point. It will. But, you look at stocks like NVIDIA just seems to just shrug stuff off. Well, they don't really produce anything, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if their chips are produced in Taiwan, for example, and they're getting concessions from Taiwan manufacturers, it just shows that, again, these areas that are importing goods to the United States, NVIDIA and Apple predominantly, they might be benefiting for the most part, or relatively speaking, against other companies that are having to pay the freight of higher oil and higher energy, et cetera. And when you think about the tariffs having to be refunded, well, if Apple, paid tariffs, one of the few taxes they probably pay, if you consider tariffs a tax. But the point is that they've certainly passed on some of the prices to consumers. They've certainly got concessions from their manufacturers. So stocks like Apple, for example, probably benefit by giving them back the tariffs, right? If they paid it, because they are the ones paying it since they're the importer. So all this stuff, again, are separating really the haves from the have-nots. And you see technology, gold, some materials there, and then you got the SPY in the last week. Everything else is underperforming right now. So we're at a big time kind of point where is there an inflection point? Well, if you look at dispersion went rocketing up today, back to the same level we were heading into Mag 7 earnings. Well, why? Well, NVIDIA has earnings next week. Well, what's causing NVIDIA to see its volatility rise sharply and other Mag 7 names that really dominate the S&P 500? Well, certainly there's the expectation of earnings, but generally speaking, they're the handful of companies that right now they're picking will outperform the S&P 500. So in essence, we're selling puts and we're buying out of the money calls in these names, and certainly maybe buying a few or some out of the money calls on SPX and helping to lift if we get way, way out of the money here. Well, this kind of brings us to the point that if we look at SPY close to the money, you're seeing that there are walls created by calls that are being sold, and further out of the money calls are being bought. And so as we look at 740, this was kind of an expected wall coming in. Well, why? Well, if we look at today's expiration, we'll see how we finish. But going into today, if we look at 740 specifically, you notice right here, 12,000 calls, right? We kind of dip lower here. Then we pick back up again, 744, 745. But this area, we have an imbalance of calls versus puts. This creates increased gamma at 740. Well, if we look at SPX, we'll pay attention to that exact same area, this time around 7,400. And if you look at 7,400, it's come off a bit from where we were last Friday. That was a significant level. So my point is there's a lot of gamma pressure or positive gamma on the dealer side as we run towards 740, for example, on SPY. And what that means is that there's an imbalance of calls versus puts, more calls than puts. There's the assumption that they're selling calls. Well, if we walk through that, That means if we're seeing selling calls on the part of participants, we're seeing the dealer buy calls, well, they're negative theta, which means they're positive gamma. Positive gamma is a stabilizing force. So as we get close to 740, price starts to stymie, and in this case, reverse. Now, I placed a trade anticipating if we got to 740, I wanted to buy a 740, 738 put spread. And I finally was able to get filled, kind of right in here somewhere. Right about there, rather. We filled right there, kind of chopped around, and then we sold off. And this produced an opportunity by buying a 740, selling a 738. If I just got down here somewhere between, 738.50 and 739, I'm going to get filled. I bought it for 50. It was actually back here. Bought it for 50, out for $1 here for 100% gain intraday. It's not a complicated way, but we're trading against these walls. The next kind of support levels down at 738. Well, since we're above it, we held there. We chopped going into the close with 738 being that barrier. So going into tomorrow, if we don't gap through 740, we really still place ourselves against that 740 resistance or call wall. If we can break it, now we start to explore some higher levels. And as we look at, for example, let's just take tomorrow's expiration on the 1st, looking at that interest today, where's it at right now? But again, you'll see, we'll see how much of this gets added at 740, 105,000, most actively traded there. We'll see later today how much we add to that. But notice it's 738, 6,800 versus 1,800, 6,100 versus 1,000. We'll see how much of this spills over. But right now, around 739, you expect to see a little bit of gamma, but maybe it kind of releases as we get above it. But again, 105,000 contracts traded. I'm assuming we'll have a decent amount of that transfer over, and we're probably building back again the wall at 740. And then we look at the next levels at 745. Again, we'll see what's being built. Now, as we go out further in time, like a June expiration, well, now we get a little bit different picture, right? So now we look at here, we'll see every $5, we're seeing a big level. So 740 is going to be impactful, 32,000 there, 20,000 at 745. And I guess we could come back here to the May monthly, which is this Friday, Friday's expiration. We should see similar kind of dynamics play out every $5 against 740 right there, 22,000. We might see more being built there, a wall being strengthened at 740, and right now we're above it. So if we can take out 740, there's the chance that we have a chance to move with very little resistance towards 745 for the week. But guess what? We have a lot of themes that are kind of playing out, namely inflation. And this week we got CPI on Tuesday, we got PPI on Wednesday, we got core retail sales on Friday. And as we think about retail sales, core stripping out the effects of food and energy, how much is this coming in? Core PPI stripping out food and energy, right? Core retail sales a little different, sorry. But point being is that we have a lot of data that's going to reflect the strength of the consumer and also the impact on the consumer as a result of inflation. And frankly, we can see a bump in GDP as a result of higher inflation. There's a deflator that goes along with it that might reduce that. But the point is that right now we're angling higher. We're seeing inflation story kind of build from just the headline number. Now we see a big disparity last month to really spilling over into the core number, which excludes food and energy. So a lot of stuff going on this week. We also have a VIX expiration. Now, VIX expirations can play a key role in market volatility. And as we start to get beyond Tuesday's close and Wednesday's open, we might start to see volatility expand. Well, if we look at VIX3M right now, where does that stand? That's at 21%. If we look at the product depth /VX, we start to see current and next. We go to the futures graph here. Notice we got is 21. The next one out here is 22. So now all of a sudden we see a VIX at what? VIX at around 18.38. We see the next futures around 20 to 22. All of a sudden we're pricing in volatility up here in the next 30 days. We have a relatively steep market for volatility. And if I show VIX3M plus VIX ratio, we're starting to see that what? Gotta bring this study in here for pairs ratio. We're recently touching off at 1.2. This, along with skew at 130, suggests what? We have a 5 to 10% correction in the next 30 days. And we might see this very well play out, but we may not see it unless we get through Wednesday's VIX expiration as we approach Friday's monthly expiration. Then, of course, NVIDIA's earnings are next week, in which case we're going to see volatility either fall here more than likely. But the point is there's significant risk. How much are people willing to pay for AI earnings? Well, right now, a lot of these AI companies have done extraordinarily well. What happens if we're willing to pay less for NVIDIA's earnings after the report and we start to discount? Well, this creates the opportunity where dispersion may reduce, right, following NVIDIA's earnings next week. We may hold up here. We may even go higher. But that unwind, like we saw last October, may result in a 5% correction plus in the S&P, maybe a 10% correction in Mag 7, and possibly a 20% correction in NVIDIA. We'll see how that plays out. Now, today, if we think about retail names, I'm going to show you the Block Hunter console today, and I'm just going to type in NKE, and you'll see Nike today, 58 countries, really close to 8,700 contracts bought near the ask quickly, 42 strike for June 5th. We're looking at downside pressure in Nike. WHR, Whirlpool. Let me just kind of reset my filters. WHR today, earnings came out bad. 13,000 contracts bought near the ask for September 18th, $30 strike price. And we start to really notice what's going on in the market right now. Even some bearishness creeping into stocks or semiconductors here. Buying the 500, selling the 450s. WHR is right here at the top. You can see Poet, put options there, EOSC, a lot of these higher flyers, but also guess what? We're seeing weakness in Wells Fargo. We're seeing put options being bought around 10,000 contracts. That's on the heels last Friday with Wells Fargo and for JP Morgan buying puts on Friday. We see the breakdown there. Another breakdown here. JP Morgan also experiencing pressure Friday, especially today. But now we're seeing again, does this start to bleed over to XLF? We're sitting right at support right now. We're minimally lower, but the fact of the matter is we start to break support here. We could readily see XLF back at 49. And what could be a trigger for that? Well, we have we have inflation data this week. We certainly have news, Trump-Xi meeting coming up later this week. We have a potential rift again between Iran and the U.S. You're seeing yields moving higher today. This could have a very, very direct and impact on the stock market, on financials, on REITs, etc. And again, as you look at some of what's going on in the options market and the potential effect here, this could be big. And again, it may take us, we have to get through the next couple of days and maybe push us, but may only see us push lower and then accentuate next week post NVIDIA's earnings. Well, folks, that's what I got for today. Hope you have a great one. See you in next week's video. Thank you.